Hello there, it's Mike.
And Katie.
And it's episode 162.
The one with Eternals and Peace.
This week on Cup of Wrath. Hey everyone, we're back. That's right, another week, another time with us. That's right, it's like
another time with us.
Yep. More time with us. We left you high and dry last week, so this week we're going to be giving you a long drip pour in those ear holes. It's like an extra venti pour of fantasticness, or extra large, whatever floats your boat in the coffee industry. That's right, we're going to get deep and dirty with everything that we talk about.
Oh, wow. We're like intense, intimate.
Well, we are intense and intimate. We're in a little fort again.
We're in recording fort again.
Yeah, record fort.
We're just going to call it the Cup of Rad Fort.
That's right.
Yep.
We're here in this
Fort Rad.
Fort Rad.
Yes.
Fort Raddingworth.
Oh, we're fancy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yep. I figure Fort Raddingworth is good for what we'll be talking about later. So yeah,
we're back to school this week, so life was a little crazy.
We were hit with a lot of snow and ice, so that really changed a lot of things. And that kind of, we had a couple days off where we were at home because of all the snow and ice, so we didn't really go out a whole lot, which allowed us to kind of get caught up on a few things, so we could come back and fire off the episode for y'all and whatnot. Then we got a lot of rain.
Yeah.
So, fun story. When I was walking to work, when I was coming back the one day, I was walking along, and in the slushy ice in a driveway was a lovely rat, looking up in its dead eyes and its beady teeth. It was locked in this horrific scream of death as it was eviscerated,
which is
intestines
really
in the ice and everything. So it was really kind of a gross experience walking home.
Mike's terrified of rodents.
So it was just, it gave me the heebie-jeebies. Then the next day when I was walking to work, I was looking for it and I couldn't find it. And I was like, oh, cool. The owner, cleared it up. It was gone. Right. And when I was walking home the next day from work, there it was.
It had returned.
But it was free from the ice. His little zombie rat body was out. All its intestines and its glory laying there on the concrete, screaming in agony. It was dead, but it just had that, just that evil lock in its eyes. So then, every day I pass that house, I'm like, where is it hiding? And it's coming back. It's haunting me. It is not cool.
The ghost of Ice Rat.
Yes, it's terrifying.
So it should be gone now since there
been a lot of rain, so it's been washed down a gutter. Hopefully
it's gone.
But it was just, it totally.
What do you do with a rat like you would find at your house?
I don't know. I don't want to know.
I know, but
right?
What do you do with that?
What do you do with a dead rat?
Throw it in the garbage or the organics bin.
It's not organic.
No, I know. But it is. It's meat.
Oh.
Right?
It probably just got chucked in the road.
It's really disturbing, probably.
But anyways.
For the birds.
The ravens.
Right. Those crows will eat everything.
Right. So we did get to do a little mini pub crawl this last weekend.
Yeah, that was super fun.
We went to, because we've got a lot of breweries in our town. A lot. And in this new district that we have that's being built up, there was one place that we wanted to go to try, because they had a pizza there, a vegan pizza that we wanted to try. You'd already had it because you're fancy in your work days. You get lunch paid for you into fancy-dom.
He's not bitter at all.
So you went there and you tried it and you thought it was pretty cool. So we went back, we got a beer. I had this Lotus something, and it had hints of orange and citrus. It was very dry but very yummy. What was the place called? I can't remember. Fieldhouse, yeah. So we checked that out. It had a little vegan pizza. And then we decided to say, you know what? Let's walk down to Bricklayer. So we had a little mini pub crawl. We went and got a couple beers there and a pretzel and had some laughs. And it was a pretty great Saturday, actually.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We just relaxed, and it was super dead there, and it was chill. And and the other thing, I found this really awesome new store downtown before the pub crawl, like vintage reselling of clothes. I don't know if it was consignment or what, but vintage clothes. So there was like 1960s and 70s stuff there. Really awesome prices too. Really great. The girl that worked there was really nice. So it was a really fun experience to be really positive downtown. So the great time at Bricklayer just kind of
sealed the deal,
pieced it all together.
Right.
So,
and then we brought some Bricklayer home, and that's what we're drinking right now.
Because it's our new favorite thing.
Because they come in tall cans, and it makes you feel...
You know what I like so far is that it's been relatively easy to park there. It's been easy to get there, and because we are not crowd people, and our place that we used to go to had become so busy,
so popular,
that it was overwhelming. It was
hard to park. It was
difficult to park, difficult to guarantee a spot, and it was only
even at the dead time, like we go on at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it would be packed.
Yeah. So far downtown, the Bricklayer is, there. By the time we left, it was packed, full in there.
Yeah.
And so I know that there is very, very busy times, but otherwise we had this nice little corner booth, and so I'm very happy. So we have to be downtown for something else next weekend, so I think we might need to do something like that again.
Little mini pub goal. So forget going to movies, forget all these new movies that are in theaters.
Yeah,
we're just gonna go drink. We're no longer over caffeinated nerds.
Now we're just alcoholic nerds.
Right? So, one thing I had one person asked about what I thought of the extreme sets. And so I thought I'd just give a quick little rundown. I've got quite a few of them. I've been blessed to be able to get a few of them, and I really do like them because they are in scale to 112 and some of the 7-inch stuff. Some of the 7-inch stuff is a little harder, but the 112 stuff really does work well on them, and it really gives you more perspective. Some of them not so much. I still like them, but some of them are a little harder to work with.
Limitations.
Yeah, like the cabin. I was really excited to get the cabin, but as you can tell from my Instagram, I haven't really used the cabin a lot because it's a lot to set up. It's a big platform base.
Well, because it's a full enclosure, right?
Yeah, and then it's an enclosed one, which doesn't open very easily, as well as the roof and stuff. So I gotta think about that one more to come up with some shots for that. But for the most part, most of them, I really have enjoyed them because we live in a rainy area. So like summer is really the time that I feel comfortable going out and taking pictures. Cause I'm not a big fan of the rain. If I can stay dry, I'd prefer it.
And I would prefer you not to get your nice expensive toys wet too, right?
Yeah. And also too, with all the flooding and stuff around this area, it's been really super mucky and just kind of gross. So it's really cool to have them at a ready's notice to be able to pop out and take some photos. So I'm excited to use them more. The dungeon has been really fun to use. It's the current one that's still set up in our flex room. The only thing with say something like the dungeon or the one like Star Wars-esque one, they have pieces that are fairly intricate to put together. So I'm not sure about taking some of those parts down, especially because it's cardboard, because I don't want it to get weak and then not be able to be used again.
Yeah.
But I think they're really worth it. I would definitely get more because there are other scenes that would be great to use for other things. There's like a sewer one's coming out, and even just the street set and all that, I think is a little bit better than, say, the NECA plastic diorama. Yes, the NECA plastic diorama looks better because it's all molded plastic, but it's very limited because it's like a 2-story thing that doesn't actually make sense. It's more of a shelf than an actual diorama feel.
Yeah.
So,
well, because you also don't have any of the sides, so you can't even turn it at all. You have to be dead straight on.
And it really kind of kills any photos from it unless you do what some people do, and I've seen some great photos where people have taken it all apart and just used it in pieces.
Oh, okay.
Right, so that's always something, but it's all I'll admit, I'm lazy. I like to just like run downstairs, grab a couple figures and go bop, bop, bop. That's the shot.
Yeah.
I'm not big on setting things up. That's why I don't really use Photoshop for my things. It's the what is in the moment.
Nice
I'm a very
simple, yeah.
dirty and raw.
Oh.
That's how you like it. So
spontaneous picture taker.
Yeah, it's whatever pops into my brain at the time and go, oh yeah, let's try this.
Nice.
So, but totally worth it if you're into wanting to expand your photography with things. I know quite a few people do use them, and they're great. They're totally, yeah. I would definitely recommend if you're curious about them. So.
So we have quite a bit of stuff to do, actually.
So it's going to be a fun episode.
Yeah.
So we did watch a family movie. Mm-hmm. This one here came and went fairly quickly.
Yeah.
It was called Ron's Gone Wrong. Mm-hmm. It was an animated kids family movie. We found it on Disney Plus. So what did you think of that, Katie?
That was, I didn't really know what to expect from it, right? Because it was like, oh, this movie's on here. I hadn't really any preconceived notions or thoughts about it. But it was basically a robot, friend robot. It was meant to help facilitate friendships. And it was the concept that this guy's robot was defective and it wasn't quite working for programming. I was pleasantly surprised with it because it was a really different take on a growing up story with the idea of friendships, and a commentary even all the way up to adulthood on how we use social media, because the robots turned into little social media robots, basically. And it was how easy it can be swept up into the caught up on social media of the likes and the shares and the connecting without real connection, more forced connection for things. So I like the story a lot. And
it showed too, like the kids, like the bullies, they were like trying to do like prank videos or stunt videos, like, and they just kept pushing
always
it,
keep
pushing
upping
it,
the
right?
ante, right?
And they were, and then, then you've got the kind of popular girl, always like just the diary of her life kind of feel too, right? And
then how easy it is for it to turn. So you build up all these relatively fake things, and so I the Ron is essentially he hadn't gotten finished programming is really what it is. And so
because he was bought off the back of a truck.
Yeah, because his dad, the kid's dad, didn't really want to buy him one. He was kind of desperate, so it was more of like the lowdown of something that had fallen and broken. And he was going to be coming back to the factory. So it was about the kids banding to coming together and realizing that you didn't need these robots weren't actually helping facilitate friendship. All it was trying to find like-minded people. And so it was a good commentary on Facebook, where Facebook is, like you yourself, you have found people via social media for actual true friends, but the amount of connections that we really have the potential of making on there of the you may like or you may know pales in comparison to the people that the people that you can genuinely make connections with is very few. And that's done not because social media is telling you that you would like the same things, and so it was good to watch with kiddo and talking about just another way of friendship and the importance of actually talking to one another and communicating and experiencing things together is what builds friends, and that friendship is not based on liking the exact same thing. Friendship is based on appreciating what other people like, as well as finding enough similarities, but also saying, having that compromise and that give and take of what's important to other people. Yeah. Not just being very self-centered, the way it was originally. The kid was just like, well, you like everything I like, you do whatever I want. And it was no give and take for, so it was cool to see that development of friendship in a different way. Like we haven't really seen something like that. Yeah. And a lot of it is more family-based things or, so I really liked it. What do you think?
Yeah, I was actually pleasantly surprised with the whole story as a whole. I found it to be an interesting take on it. It was a little goofy at times, but it was what it needed to be for that age group. Yeah. And at the end of it, it was a cute little film. It had a good message. The animation was pretty clean. I don't think it'd be one I go back and watch.
No, because for us,
it didn't have enough oomph at the end of the day. But
my only complaint was, they ended up having friends from. They realized that they could be friends. This group, these kind of ragtag group of people that used to be friends when they were quite young and then had grown apart. And I kind of have wished that they could have become friends again and been okay and understand that they didn't have to be in such different avenues. But at the same time, it's not the end of the world if people were friends when they were younger and have moved apart. Mm-hmm. I wish that they had shown that how new friends can be made, new people that weren't related to your past. So there was a little bit of a blend with that.
Mm-hmm. Because, they were all elementary school friends and now they're in middle school, right?
Yeah, so I wish that he had taken... the concept of what he did to learn about making friends with Ron and applied it to someone new, of actually finding something like-minded, because I think that's important, because like say for Kiddo, he doesn't have access to any of the friends that he had in elementary school. Mm-hmm. So what happens if you move? What happens if you change schools? Yeah. And you don't even have that ability anymore. So then to ignore that very important concept of meeting new people that you haven't had a connection with prior, that was my only complaint.
The downfall,
with it.
Right? Yeah.
So,
but it's a cute little family film. Definitely, if you're looking for something with your youngsters that are 12 and under, I would say.
Yeah.
Anything above that might not really.
Like, Kiddo wasn't quite sure about it at first, but I mean, he said he really liked it. Yeah. And it was fun enough for him. But if he was a little bit older, it would have been too goofy, I think.
Yeah.
So,
little too much. So, but Ron's Gone Wrong. It's part of Disney Plus, at least here in Canada. So that's something for y'all to check out with the family. Mm. Then we found on Netflix The Protege.
Yeah, we'd been wanting to watch this.
It's directed by Martin Campbell. He's the guy that did Casino Royale and Goldeneye.
Oh, okay.
Right. And it stars
Sam Jackson
and Michael Keaton and Maggie Q. And I was excited to see it because it's the idea of like this assassin and her mentor gets killed and she goes like, at least trailer wise and all that, goes off on the killing spree to try to avenge his murder and all that. Mm-hmm. But that is the basis of it, but it's long.
It was more dramatic than action.
Yeah. And there's not a lot that I could really say that I don't think I really recommend it.
Well, you were disappointed, and so was I, for sure. It was totally different feeling than...
Yeah, it was super slow, and there was some cool action, and Michael Keaton was solid.
Yeah.
Right?
He was probably my favorite part of it.
Yeah.
Actually, because I really liked his character. He played it so well, so much charisma, and he was, to me, the best part.
Yeah, he was. But it was kind of flat.
Yeah.
I'm glad we ended up not seeing it
or
renting it or anything like that.
For her character, I didn't really have any connection. She was boring, and I really could have cared less about her.
Yeah.
I should have felt more... I should have felt more emotion. I should have felt more anger, more sadness, more joy, those types of stuff from her actions and her experiences. And it was just like, okay, whatever. Yeah.
And that's the other thing that sucks is like, because we've hit this era of film, because these was also a couple of the producers from the John Wick stuff too, where they're all doing the same kind of thing now. Like that's the action movies we're hitting now, because it's like, okay, well, John Wick worked. Now how can we duplicate that? And that's where we're getting to very generic territory for film. So the Protege was definitely not on our yay, we watched it, because I did find myself feeling like, why in some points, like, what's going on? Like,
I felt bored.
Yeah.
And it was just like that. It was sad. It was sad that it wasn't more exciting, but it was like, okay, so when are we getting to the end of this?
Right. And it's kind of weird too, because like in the era that we're in, which is a good thing, there's a lot of female empowerment, right? And there was some awkwardness with the sexual exploits that happened, because Michael Keaton seems way too old to be hitting her up.
It's okay.
He's Batman.
He's Batman. No, but totally, I understand.
It felt a little awkward in times.
Yeah.
Like it felt like the dirty old man.
Yeah.
Right. And it felt like it kind of went. It was a bit of a slap in the face for everything that they're trying to do for empowerment, right?
Yeah.
Where then she became just weak around his money and power, almost like his idea, right? Where it was like, you know.
That's an interesting take. That's the different feel, like, right, for you, that she still felt. I still got the vibe that she was still making decisions about it and not really falling prey to it. But I am also okay with the idea of being a little more pulled into something rather than, because it never felt like he was like pushing himself too much. Like they felt like there was tension between them both. Yeah. But you're right. There is a big age difference, of course, between them, and it still was weird. Like it didn't add to the movie. No, I think that's what it is. It didn't. It would have been no different. It wasn't better or for worse. It was just there, right? Yeah. So
it could have easily been cut, I think, and it would have been, especially the line of like, "I'll just tap you on the head and you can go make me a sandwich," right? Like,
yeah. So some of it was bad,
sex, right? Like there were some corny lines, but yeah. So it is on Netflix. So if you're into that style where it's the long dramatic.
Just be aware that it's dramatic, not as much action.
And most of the action happens in the beginning and then the very end.
The whole in between is just a whole.
The 2 hours in the middle is pretty much drama.
Yeah.
So, we did actually watch season 2 of The Witcher.
Yes.
We actually finished that, where the season 1 was a long slog for us. It took us over a year to watch it.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't realize it took us. We watched like 2 episodes.
And then we're like, what the hell is this?
We put it on hold. Yeah. And then we were like, okay, we should go back and watch it. And we finished it. I enjoyed season 2 way more than season 1.
Yes.
I was very much engaged.
Well, you were like, yes, let's watch this.
Yeah. Because we got more Geralt.
Yeah.
Because that's what I always feel. Whenever his story isn't on screen, I get bored.
Yeah.
When we start going other places, I don't want the politics and all that. I just want to see him
being a badass,
killing monsters, because that is the most interesting part of the show for me. And that's where, say, the 5th and the 6th and 7th episode, I think, was kind of slowed down because his story wasn't the center.
They were really building up some more of the kingdom stuff.
Yeah, right. More of the elf stuff and all that. And so I was getting a little bored there. And then we went
the
back.
elf stuff was getting overwhelming. Like some of the mage stuff is interesting, but there's too many people, and I start getting confused. Yeah. So it's definitely, when it's harder to keep track of everyone, it's more difficult. This one, at least, there was enough things kind of coming into place, but the elf stuff was definitely like, okay, well, now it felt almost not deep, and it was almost too much of a thing to have introduced for us to care so much of it right away, because I don't really remember talks about elves, and all of a sudden there was elves.
Yeah,
it's like,
and
what?
It was such a focus, right?
Yeah. So
yeah. But yeah, for the most part, I was all in. Like, it definitely ends on that, like, what's going to happen next cliffhanger. So I was
pleasantly... The idea of everything that happened with the Witchers and Ciri, like the last little bit there was just like devastating and overwhelming. And I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? Right? And then it's just going to end like,
It was much more intense. Yeah. And I think that was kind of cool because the story was much more focused because we weren't dealing with time jumps and all that kind of thing, like where we were all over the map of like what's happening. Yeah. So it was really cool to see a lot more focused, and for me, it was a lot more enjoyable.
I did like Yennefer more this season than the last season too, because she was humbled. Yes, she wasn't, and again, because it was more focused on just one time period, that maybe that was part of it as well. But she just seemed like she was by now so much more developed. Yeah, and kind of figuring herself out a little bit.
Like I feel like for the most part, I feel almost like I could watch season 2 with not having watched season 1 and not felt too confused.
Yeah, which is odd actually.
Right.
Because a lot of it was just, you could infer and understand, okay, they've had a relationship. There's this, So yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if there was some writing development or changes, or if there was like production notes for that they were able to change, but definitely season 2 of The Witcher was much more enjoyable.
That should be a Halloween costume for you.
What?
The Witcher.
The Witcher?
I love his pants.
The tight pants?
Just specifically, I love the high-waisted, like, pirate pants that he has. Like, I don't know why. I love his outfit so much.
Because it's, like, somewhat of a rock star.
Yes, he looks like a rock star.
He didn't have the big, like, metal, leather armor on.
Yeah, he looks like a rock star. You're right.
Then he'd be very much rock star.
I love it.
Interesting.
I mean, I like Henry Cavill anyway, but he's a rock star.
He's just
he's a badass.
Fair. Well, he is a badass in that.
Right?
So his deep, gruff voice. Yeah.
You know what I like? I think even him, the character development of where he was for this season was so good too, because he was showing some genuine connection then, and he shows that he's not just an asshole. You know, he really cares about Ciri. Cersei's nothing else.
Right?
And so I really liked him.
Yeah.
Like, he's just genuinely a really good being. Yeah. You know?
He's now played this character longer than he's played Superman, so
there you go.
He's had more time to develop it.
Yeah, exactly. So what's next in our epic journey?
Well, we haven't really talked about the Book of Fett that I'm aware of.
I don't think so.
We've now got the next Star Wars series, the Book of Fett. Mm-hmm. We're 3 episodes in. So what are your thoughts so far, Katie?
So far, it's interesting, and I'm still looking forward to every episode. But it's definitely a different style than The Mandalorian. So just checking and not approaching it as a comparison to The Mandalorian. But it's definitely dramatic. And it's more of just like trying to experience and understand some of the aftermath that had happened on Tatooine. And commentary on rise in power and changes of things with the vacuum of Jabba not being there, and appreciation of different cultures, especially with the Tusken Raiders and everything. Like, it was really pretty. It's very artful. Yeah. And it's well done, but it's definitely slower. Yeah. So
it's curious to see what the actual end game is going to be for it. Yeah. I definitely enjoyed the first 2 episodes, especially with the Tusken Raiders, a lot more than the 3rd episode.
This last episode with the car chase was the part that I really, I almost actually would say I disliked it. Yeah. Because it felt like it didn't belong. Yeah. It was totally out of place. I can be okay with people modifying themselves with droid parts, like totally fine. But they were bright and shiny, and all I could think of was Power Rangers.
Yeah. See, it's totally the Power Ranger feel. Like, I guess they're going for the nod for like American Graffiti, because that's what I'm assuming they're going for. Yeah, idea because of Lucas's
with connection with that, right? Well, straight up connection, but
yeah, it was just too colorful for such a desolate. Everything's dirty and broken, right? And
like, I don't know if it's a commentary on the idea of such a new generation because they were so young.
Maybe, but at the same time, it's like you got hot rods and you're stealing water. Yeah. So like there was like that weird.
Why is he spending so much money for that? And like, I understand there's a bit of sticking it to the man. He's being gouging for water and everything like that. But they're not like slumming it. Yeah.
So the best part of episode 3 though was the Wookiee battle. Oh yeah. That Wookiee is amazeballs, and I was sad that he told him to take off.
Kiddo has already told. He's like, if they bring a figure out of that, I want that. Right. Like, he's really connected to that Wookiee. Right. Like, he's never said something like that. He's
never asked for really asked for a toy.
He's like, I need that.
I need that Wookiee toy. Like, the meanest Wookiee that they've ever encountered. Right. And like, he's like, nope.
No Chewbacca. No, I want that badass.
Right. Like, Chewbacca sucks. I want this guy. Like, electric knuckles and all that. Right. But yeah, I'm still curious to see where it's going to go with each episode. It's not like Wednesday's still exciting to have a new Star Wars drop, so that's still cool to have. Mm-hmm. But it is definitely more like dry. Yeah, it's just like the planet Tatooine.
There you go, right? Used to be covered in water. Now we're learning all this stuff, right?
Yeah. So it's a good connection to where we live.
Right.
right? But we're not dry.
Yeah. So yeah, it's still looking forward to it, but definitely, it doesn't have that same like
It needs
excitement.
a hook still. It hasn't had the hook.
Like really what's going to be going on, right?
Right.
So
that's sort of the
I think it's almost a little bit of a too big. Like Mandalorian was so focused, like there was a bigger like plan of like who's looking for the child and all that sort of stuff. But each episode had a little something going on within it, and this one was a little too much of a bigger plan, because now you have the syndicate and like you have all these things in there, and it's almost a little too big.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's almost like leftover ideas that they're from other movies that they're trying to like
in.
Yeah.
It's like, what if this had happened?
When does it all connect to like the Crimson Dawn or something?
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
I don't know. So we'll be curious to see where it is, but I still think Boba Fett comes across kind of like a badass, because we've got to remember too that he's dying basically. He's in a Bacca tank or a Banca, or I don't know how they call it.
Yeah, the water tubes
tank. So he's definitely got something else wrong with him. So he's not.
He's been through a lot. So
yeah. So, but we'll see. We'll see where it goes from there. We watched something else. I know it's been out for a while in the States, but we finally just got it up here because we don't have the Peacock as a streaming service available to us. But we got episode 1 of MacGruber. Will Forte is back as his SNL character turned movie turned potty mouth MacGruber.
The thing you didn't think you needed in your life is back.
Right? 10 years later, and they've got a new show.
How does he still look the same 10 years later? My God.
Will Forte?
Yeah.
Oh, he's looking old, though. You can see it,
I can tell, but still.
But MacGruber is back after 10 years in prison. The government has come back. And you know what was cool about that episode? Well, a lot of things were actually, because it was like the best thing I've seen. He was hysterical. I was like, this.
Because I'm like, I don't have the connection to it as you do. And I was like, okay, fine, let's just put it on the background. And then I just kept laughing and watching it. And I was like, wow, this is totally sucking me in.
Right. Well, it starts off with Maya Rudolph.
That was the best part.
Singing about the MacGruber movie.
Yeah. So
it's all really folksy, nice. Right? Just.
It was so well done. Like that was an excellent.
The opening was just bonkers, stupid, right? Amazing, right? Oh. And then we go right into the fact that he's in prison, and
I love that there was consequences for him, even if it was a bad guy, for killing someone in front of everyone.
You killed an unarmed man. But he tried to blow up my wife and me.
Right?
Yeah, but you shot him off a cliff, and then you blew him up, and then you pissed on his corpse.
I love though that as it moves on, then you find out that he wasn't just like he didn't take the sentencing. He tried to blame it on all of his friends. Like no wonder he's such an asshole.
Was premeditated. He threw me the gun. Yeah. No.
Oh, good stuff.
It was just
Lawrence Fishburne is in it.
Yeah.
And so it was a hilarious episode. Like I was not expecting to enjoy it nearly as much as I did.
Oh yeah, it was. I laughed like so much. When you first see MacGruber show up in prison, and then he's like, this kid's trying to get this ball from another prisoner, and the guy's like, I'm gonna stick this in your ass, right? And then MacGruber shows up. I like things in my butt. Why don't you put that ball in my butt?
Like so awkward.
And the guy's like doesn't know if he's serious.
Like, what do you do with that information?
Right?
Yeah.
Why don't you just stick it in my butt?
Yep. Ridiculousness.
So now, and the movie you had Bon Kunth, right? And now you've got Queef. Filled by Billy Zane. So I'm excited for where this show goes. It's just
it's just the stupid humor break that you need, right?
Right. And it's foul and it's terrible. And
he's just a terrible human being.
It's just going to be, I think, hilarious. Yeah. So if you have access to the Peacock, or up in Canada, it's on Showcase. If if you need to laugh and you want to laugh at something stupid and foul,
that would be the way to go.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, it made my night. When we watched episode 1, I was laughing. I was just like ear to ear smiles because it was just like, yes, you friggin' turds. So from that, we decided to finally rent Malignant.
Yes.
James Wan's latest movie. I'm not going to say it's a horror movie. It's not a horror movie. It wants to be. It wants to be a horror movie.
Yeah.
But it's more of a thriller.
Yeah.
Almost. This is one that I'm up in the air if I actually liked it or not. Because parts of it I really liked. Mm-hmm. Parts of it I'm not entirely still sure.
Yeah.
But I think the reason why the parts that I liked was because it reminded me of some of those old 80s like in 90s B movies that I loved watching.
Okay.
Right? Because it has that kind of vibe to it, right?
Like the shots or this just
the fact that it's a giant malignant twin tumor burst out of the back of her skull, killing people.
It was because it went from like,
sorry if you haven't seen it, spoilers, but
spoilers anyways.
It's been out since October, so
it's like, I don't know, it was strange because it was like, was it supernatural? Was it, what was it really?
But like, and the thing that's hilarious though is like they literally told you in the title what it is, right? Like they did not hide it.
Yeah. And so like at first I thought, because when it starts out with the idea of like cutting out a cancer, was it going to be this other thing that had developed in like a spirit of some sort? No, it's actually a commentary more on like mental health idea, almost like a I don't know, bipolar schizophrenia type thing. And like, it was interesting. The concept of it was really cool, but then it was like also just really corny and strange.
Right. Like it was like 2000 era, like underworld.
You know, ending. The creepiest thing that I found about it was the fact that the killer, as whenever you saw it, was running backwards. Mm-hmm. That was the thing that freaked me out the most. Yeah. Was the very unnatural way that it moved.
And that was cool.
It was very cool. It was also the thing that irritated me the most, though, when you find out about it and you're like, how the hell does she not realize and move like that? Yeah. That then the part of me that's like, she would be so freaking sore because she has dislocated her shoulder and is moving around like this. How does she not know these things? How does she not question, why the hell did my body hurt so bad? So, in the idea that she has this malignant second human, parasite thing on her, that was acceptable. But the fact that her arms wouldn't have hurted her after and she wouldn't realize that was apparently bothered me. So, whatever.
Logic went out the window there. As I say, like, I'm still not 100% sure because I do like James Wan as a filmmaker, but this really felt like him kind of just playing in the sandbox almost, where like, I've been making all these big movies. I just need to it wasn't a bad movie, but it took me a bit to want to pay attention to it. Yeah. And to be interested in it. So, I guess at the end of the day, I realized that I probably, out of most of his catalog, like I'd watch Dead Space or Dead Silence again, because it's quirky, weird. Malignant, I don't think I'd watch it again. Yeah. Right? Like I'll watch the Conjuring stuff.
Because once you know everything, you've seen it, you're like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, and the big bad kind of feel like where it was like trying to come up with it felt like they were trying to come up with a new like Jason or Freddy or Michael Myers kind of character, right? Mm-hmm. Or new like Jigsaw, right?
Yeah, like trying to create a big monster.
But like I don't foresee this spinning off any kind of franchise.
But it was creepy to watch it transform.
That was cool,
That was
yeah. And
cool.
that's where it takes me back to like the Trauma kind of like movies,
but it was
where it's like
super
gross
corny
and weird, and like you're
creepy,
you're like, oh, it's her malignant twin.
Well, then you see that and you're like, oh, how did I not see this happening before?
Yeah.
Like it all falls into place, and you're like, oh crap, it was right there in front of me.
Right, I feel so stupid, right? And
Yeah.
So I'm glad I got to watch it. I like it was fun to watch, and like it had its moments where it was really cool, and there was some really creepy shots.
Yeah.
But it definitely is just kind of there.
Yeah.
Thundercats.
Oh.
That's right, the weekly or bi-weekly, we don't really know. Thundercats recap is back.
Whenever we get to it.
And this is the Thundercats 2011. That's right. We finally cracked open that disc that kiddo got for Christmas, and we watched the Thundercats reboot. Are you ready for this?
Dun 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 dun. I don't know why.
We pay for the good music here. We're good. We're golden. So the Thundercats reboot. We watched 6 episodes. That's how many episodes we've watched since we recorded.
Oh, wow.
And there's 23 episodes in the series.
So it won't be a very long-lived segment. So far, I'm really enjoying it.
Oh, I'm loving it.
It's so different that I don't feel at all like, oh, yeah, we're watching this again. Oh, okay, there's this. It's so different, but it's also enough of like, oh, this is how they're going to take this, or this is how they're going to try this. But it's a really cool reimagination.
It's definitely a masterclass in how to reimagine, reboot something.
Yeah. Like I'm impressed how well.
You know, like even like the 2K He-Man was, but it almost felt like that could easily been a sequel.
Yes.
Right?
This is completely different.
Yeah, right? Like, you know, there is no new Thundera. Like that is just the kingdom.
Yeah.
Right? Like your third Earth, all the animals are there.
Yeah.
Right? And so like we open it with you know, Lino is kind of more like the teen prince, right? And Tigra is his brother.
It's like a Loki thing.
Yeah.
Brother thing.
Yeah, right.
I love it. It's interesting how they've never touched on like how are they brothers? Like, how did this happen?
Yeah, I'm wondering
is
if
he
they
like
will.
the bastard tiger, or is he like what happened?
He's the Jon Snow of it now, right? But you know, and like Chitara, they've kind of like ironed out some of those like details.
What do you think of Chitara?
Well, they have kind of ironed out some details that didn't make sense. Like she's actually part of the clerics.
I love that.
So then that makes sense of the potential of her sixth sense.
Yeah. Which makes a whole lot more sense because it was always in the original. I was like, what the hell? How does she have like this sixth sense thing going on? Where did this come from?
Right. Her design is definitely created by a man.
Totally.
That
loved Chitara when he was younger.
That loved Chitara and kept that in his spank bank.
Holy
Because
cow.
then he was like, hey,
she's just boobs and hips.
Yeah. How can I try to enjoy this character that runs really fast? Well, let's give her huge titties. Because we know that big old titties are aerodynamic.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Especially when they're only covered by a tiny piece of fabric. Because there's been quite a few shots where she's running towards the camera in these 6 episodes, and it's just like, really?
Well, with how well they're defined as well, like they would just be, I'm sorry, but pendulum around. Like,
oh,
my
yeah.
goodness.
It'd be like a helicopter action. You know? And it's just like you look at like Lino, and he's like covered head to toe in his outfit. Tigra's head to toe, and Chitara's like
the lowest pants possible,
bra and shorty shorts.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So
we're laughing about that.
It's just like, and there's been some of the jokes in it have been a little like, really. Those sword jokes are still there.
They're still there. They don't stop.
We're still dealing with the idea
I think
that
we laughed about something today, and Kiddo was just like, "What? What are you guys laughing?" Nope. Just nope.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to get my sword to work.
Yes. Oh my goodness, that was hilarious.
I couldn't get. She's showing me how to get my sword.
Trying to get my sword to work.
Yeah.
We're just like.
Oh wow, yeah.
That was the best line.
I'm sure she did.
Yeah. Having some performance issues there,
right? Oh, so early on too. Since you got that thing and you figured it out, you're just like, damn. Don't worry, Chitara's here. She'll get it out. I was just like. You see that, and it's just like, dude, seriously.
Yep.
But
non-sexual innuendos portions of it.
Well, yeah, no, it's a great series so far. Like I'm in. I'm sad we've only watched a couple episodes each weekend here because it's been a really interesting ride in what they're building with the characters, and it's got a brilliant voice cast. Mm-hmm. You've got Will Friedle that played Terry McGinnis as Lionel. Mm-hmm. You also have the GOAT, Kevin Michael Richardson.
I mean, how could it not be good?
As Panthro. Right. Like, how cool is that? Like,
Clancy Brown's in it
as Groon, and that's kind of cool. It's kind of, you can tell they were like, whoever rebooted this was like, you know what? They really didn't use Groon in the original. Yeah. I want to see more of him, and now he's a main protagonist.
Well,
right?
It's interesting how the story itself is really well thought out. Mm-hmm. Like, there is a very clear cut how did this all happen, opposed to the original where there's so many leaps of faith of like what's going on. Because I mean, with the original, of course, it's very much of the exploring the new world, and because it's new, it's okay to have all that stuff. But this is really explaining more of how the Book of Omens, the Sword of Thunder, all this sort of stuff. Yeah. Sword of Omens, sorry. Came to be. Yeah. And, and then of course with them painting the lions as its own kingdom, it's slowly building on how that could have developed and their distrust of technology and all this sort of stuff. So that change, so then you can see the path of Lionel that he has in front of him of trying to meld all these things together and unite people, and why he's supposed to be destined to be such a great king. Mm-hmm. And you see this path, kind of laying itself out.
He's going on, awesome. And he's realizing that he's got to unite people, and he's mm-hmm. realizing, those follies that rage and all that isn't helping. Just in these few episodes that we've seen, like really cool development, right? One of my favorite episodes is the one with all the flower leaf people. It was so dramatic. It felt like a Ghibli film. Yes. They come across these little like leaf spirit people, and they're essentially, it's in one day for the Thundercats, and these plant people live a whole life in that one day. So it's like insects, from seed right? to death. And so it is, Lionel seeing all this change and learning about the idea of kind of making sure you take the time that what you have. Yeah. And that time is relative to everyone. You think you might have all the time in the world, but for someone else, it might be an entire lifetime for one day, So really making sure you don't waste any time and appreciating all the simple beauty of things. And, the journey and all, like, there was so much philosophical mm-hmm. concept and all that stuff. So it's so far been in this last episode we watched about the drifter and the duelist. Stephen Root. Yeah, like really in-depth learning. And again, I like showing this type of stuff to kiddo because there's a lot of good lessons in that, and reminders for us even as adults mm-hmm. about the idea of sticking to things and not just letting, like in this case, not letting some traumatic or bad event consume you and make you drift your way into life anymore. You choose to stand and fight back and take control of things, So that was a really interesting concept. Like It's really fun, and there's a certain amount of silliness, but this one is definitely deeper and more serious than the other. Well, that's like the beauty of them being able to have had a blueprint, mm-hmm. and now they're able to then like build off of that and fill in a lot of those plot holes.
Yeah.
And fill in those ideas that were like, well, wouldn't it be cooler if it was this and this and this? My only real complaint that I've really come across of it is that I actually, as much as like a lot of the voice cast I'm loving because they're bringing a different take to it. The only one that I'm not really enjoying is Mumra's voice because the original actually was more menacing.
Yeah.
Like he's not nearly as menacing sounding. He's a lot scarier in this with the way he is.
Like the actual character is, but the voice
is definitely not as scary as the original voice, right? Like the original voice used a lot more like hiss and right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing. We found out that the voice of Chitara though in that is Lana Lang in the new Lois and Superman show. So there's a fun little
we had a scene today that actually was Rob Paulson.
Yes, he played Dubba Duty in one
he was a Jackalman leader and the leader of the Jackals and the leader of the lizards.
Yeah.
And he was doing both of them, and it was really cool because you could tell it was him, but they were completely different voices. Yeah. So just that reminder of how awesome Rob Paulson is.
That's true. He is a god.
Yes, he is.
He's a god. There's so many great voice actors. Like you look at those and you see those ones, and like now, especially because we're starting to see Kevin Michael Richardson, he's gotten that Simpsons gig, so he's showing up there as well. So it's like, I want to go back and watch The Batman. Yeah. Because his Joker was fantastic.
Yeah, well, that's something we haven't showed Kiddo yet, and I think he would actually really appreciate it.
He's a little faster, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so far, I'm loving this Thundercats reboot. This is my first time watching it, so that'll be really fun to see because it came out at a time where we didn't really have TV and all that.
Yeah.
So I'm sad to know, though, that it only had the one season. Like, it's disappointing to see that.
You'd be curious to come to the end of it and see how much of the story was actually told, or if it was obviously.
No, it was cut short.
It was cut short. It is cut short.
So it's going to end on like a horrible cliffhanger.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. So Kiddo's really going to freak out.
Right.
Awesome.
So the one thing that, I know it's not the same Groon, but I definitely want to get the Super 7 Groon now, even more, just to have Groon battling. Because we're never going to get these versions in figure form.
Yeah, because every time I see him, I'm like, yeah, we need that.
Right, because like
just the concept of knowing now that they should be fighting at some point.
Right,
like just pretending.
Right. So, Corey Burton, he did a lot of Disney stuff. He also plays Jaga, and Jaga sounds like Gandalf. I was gonna say Gondorf for some reason.
Well, there is even a "You Shall Not Pass" scene
moment
in it, and it was just like it was amazing.
So,
and his last one where he turned into the white light, like all I could think about was turning into the white wizard type thing. Yeah. And I was just like, yes.
So
magical wizardness.
It's a sparkly wizard. So I'm really excited to bring you the weekly Thundercats recap.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see where the show goes because it's been really fun. And I realize how much I really love that world.
Yeah.
Like it's
there's so much available. Like I really do like it.
This would be the way to do it in live action, the way that this show is treated.
Yes. I think it would be much easier of a story to develop if they use this as a blueprint rather than the original. Yeah, for sure.
Totally.
So in preparation for Peacemaker, we felt like we need to watch Suicide Squad again.
Yeah, we did.
And because it's amazeballs. Now we kept being like, how are we going to find time to watch it? We're just going to watch it.
Now you're saying, well, you've watched all this other stuff. Like, what do you mean you have had to find time to watch it?
Yeah. Yeah.
We had other things going on. So yeah, we were trying to find time because we weren't sure when we were going to watch it. So.
Yeah. So we made it work. And we watched Suicide Squad again. And you know what? It's still fan-frickin-tastic.
It is.
Every moment about it, I love it so much.
I absolutely love the movie. Like, it is just...
Like, it just gets better. It's just amazing.
It's one that we've watched multiple times now.
We've watched it 3 times.
Within the span of 6 months.
Came out. Yeah, and that we never do that.
And... it's just enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny, it's action packed, like it's never slow. There's a lot of like what feels like super real moments that are actual. Like, I still swear that the Idris Elba scene where he's yelling at his daughter is like one of the most real parental moments in life, because
something you wish you could do.
I feel like, yeah, it's something you wish you could do, but you feel like it's something that happens.
Yeah.
Right? Or could like happen or will happen, or like, you know?
Yeah.
And I still think that the shot with King Shark as he rips the man in half in the rain and the lightning is still one of the best shots of any comic book movie.
Yeah. You were just like, here it is, the best shot in cinema. Here it is, it's happening.
Like, it is just such a brilliant shot.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, and we definitely, I was watching and paying attention a lot more to Calendar Man this time.
Right.
Especially when, you know, he calls Polka Dot Man a pussy.
Yeah.
You know, like, Sean Gunn does a good job.
There's a lot of focus on that one. Huh?
Yeah, it totally was. It took every essence to get it right this time.
I know, right?
But no, like, it was so good.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a great movie.
The actors themselves did such a good job of immersing themselves into their characters. Mm-hmm. And it's so nicely fast paced and sincere feeling. Like, they did just such a good job. And I love the use of everything about the scene, the movie, that James Gunn did just a fabulous job of making every moment of this movie enjoyable.
Yeah.
You know,
like it's
art.
He is definitely rising as one of my favorite filmmakers. Like, if not, like, you know, even some of his other stuff, like, you know, it's still just, it's good. Like, he knows how to craft this type of film, the quirky humor and the violence and all that.
I think this is the most I've enjoyed Harley Quinn too.
Out of all of her
stuff,
cinematic,
this is my favorite because she is a perfect mix of silly and flirty and serious and no shit's taken. Like, just goes for it and knows who she is. The confidence that she has, but she's really still messed up. Yeah. Is there, and she's still aware really of cares. It too, right? Yeah, and that's how the character should be. She's very much aware that she's messed up, but she also really cares about the people who are there for her, and so she comes across almost the most human out of everyone, which is
really messed up.
Really good to see her do, right? Yeah, because she's supposed to be caring and loving and wanting to make this family, but the way she goes about it is really messed up, and she just does a fantastic job, and it's just so well done. Yeah. And,
well, you feel when they die, even like, when Flag dies, it's
I feel like watching that again, it was just like, and it makes me so sad.
Well, it's also like, you see Peacemaker when he's the one that kind of brings them together there, and they all start having fun, and you're like, okay, maybe he isn't such a douche, right? Yeah. And then that total turnaround where he
goes like super scary.
He goes back into the good soldier moment, right? And you know, you're like, nope, you're still.
Well, it's interesting too to see, like, Amanda Waller has always come across as scary. But she really is the villain of this movie. Oh, yeah. You know, she's the one that's like, holy crap, she's terrifying, you know?
She doesn't care what it costs to get. And because she has even more disposable soldiers, right? Because it's all black ops, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're just tools. They're not people anymore. They're just tools. It's no different than a piece of equipment, right? Yeah. And yeah, it's just, there's so many characters in this movie, and yet they all have distinct personalities and distinct something to give to it. You know, even just the team, Waller's team, like, they're all still, I can't say enough good things about this movie.
And then it leads us right into the fact that Peacemaker got a show.
Exactly. So guess what? The Eagly show came out.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's the reason you watched it, because what is it that you like to see?
Eagles.
There needs to be, you know what? Someone needs to make Katie a dedicated eagle channel.
Yes. Just
24 hours
eagles.
a day, 7 days a week. Eagles.
I forgot to tell you. So breaking news on Cup of Rad. I had to go to a work meeting on Friday. And I left and I was out with the car. And I look up and you know what was soaring above?
An eagle?
A bald eagle. And it was beautiful blue sky, and this bald eagle was going across the sky. I'm like, there's never eagles by work here. Where did this come from? It was amazing.
There you go. You had good fortune that day.
I had good
fortune. Smiling upon you.
Yeah. Eagle be blessed.
You just watched a show that had eagles in it.
Right. So Peacemaker came out.
Woo-hoo!
We were so excited about this.
You know, I'm usually not one that likes the villain turn good.
Yes, you're actually very normally angry about that. Yes.
Well, I'm not angry. Just sometimes it's like you want to see the bad guys, but the character that was crafted in the Suicide Squad with John Cena and James Gunn, he just was so likable.
Yeah. Damn you.
To a fault. Like he was just interesting as a character.
Yeah.
And
well, because he wasn't trying to be a villain necessarily either, right?
Yeah.
He was like a really misguided vigilante.
Yeah, right?
You know?
So now we get a show that's kind of outlining him a bit more and fleshing out the character even more.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, we get this amazing, fan-freaking-tabulous opening dance number.
You bet you didn't expect that one, huh?
Like we
looked at each other and like, Mike, is this actually happening? Like, what the hell is this? But it's amazing.
Right? Like, yeah, it's truly something to be marveled by.
Yeah.
Like, I want to learn this dance. Like, we need to do this dance. Like,
yeah.
Where's my flash mob of Peacemaker dancers?
Right?
Because it's just so weird and mesmerizing.
And everyone's in it and like...
They're also serious.
Kudos on you. Because it's like uncomfortable to watch because they're so serious about it. Like,
but the dance is so goofy.
Normally when you would see people doing this, they'd be smiling and all happy and upbeat. And you're like, you're just staring at me. This is unnerving.
It's deep within my soul.
Yes.
Like, and... One thing I did notice, though, was how cut Jennifer Holland is.
Holy crap, I want my shoulders to look like that.
Like, she's buffer than
Wonder Woman?
Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
In that dance scene?
Yeah, I see it every time. I'm like, holy crap.
When she, like, lifts
I need to go to the gym.
Lifts her arms up and does the weird, like,
thing?
yeah, the thing. I'm like,
damn.
Yeah, right?
Oh, it's impressive.
So
Wonder Woman apparently has nothing on Amanda Waller's team.
Right? Right? Harcourt.
Right?
So, but yeah, that opening scene is just the opening credits. And so, like, I guess in the States, HBO Max has a skip function. And so the whole purpose of was to make sure everyone got their name on the credits and people didn't hit the skip button because they wanted to create something fascinatingly strange, right?
Yeah.
Up here on Crave, there is no skip button, so we have to watch it.
Right? We're like, we can't even skip past this, but we don't want to.
3 episodes, I'm in. I'm like, I'm still watching everything. Like, I'm seeing every moment, and I'm like, yes, this is
amazing.
You know, then Eagly swoops in, and
he just steals the show right there. He's like, yep, I'm here, yo.
Just like that.
Oh,
like that.
Ben.
So I've decided that for Katie's next birthday, I need to get as much Eagle merch as possible. Pictures. Like, I need to make
Eagle things.
Happy birthday sign out of eagles. So if you come across Eagle things, please send them to Cup of Rad. We need to make everything possible for Katie's birthday. I have a feeling March.
There's a few listeners right now. They're like on it.
Right. It's in March. So I want to make this the Eagly birthday.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, I do want an Eagle figure, a 112 figure to go with my Peacemaker McFarlane.
Yeah.
Because that only makes sense.
He's hugging me. Dad, do you see he's hugging me?
Right?
Oh my God, it's so weird.
That's every day with my cats.
Right? I love it so much. Like, so these episodes, like, so much happened in 3 episodes. Like, they were sorry. If anything weird happened, Valkyrie has joined the fort and is very interested in the microphone. But so much is going on, and Peacemaker has been we're learning so much about his dad and his, you know, growing up and what has influenced him. And it's no wonder that he is the person that he is. And it's impressive that he is not worse.
Yeah.
So I'm just so excited for next Thursday.
Well, the opening episode deals with him being, you know, not, you know, he's been told that he can go free from the hospital because he's fine. And he's just like, but like, I'm supposed to be in prison. Like,
yeah. Like, what does this mean?
I can't leave. Like, and then he pieces out only then to be captured, right?
Yeah.
And then he's put on a new mission, right? And
because it's so sad because he goes back to his old house and he's just like, he's all by himself and everything's all like broken into and searched and he's just like totally lost.
It's been sitting there for 4 years.
And yeah.
Well, like even too, like he has no money, right? And he's trying to get out of the cab. And I just love that scene. He's like, hey, this could be like the lottery. I got quarter Maltese money, man. Like this could be 50 cents or this could be $1 million. Like take it. And the cab driver's like, no, how about the helmet? Right. So he loses his helmet
just to get the cab ride home.
Right. So then, I also like the scene with his dad, when he find out that there's like a Peacemaker cave.
Yeah, that was surprising. There's like a super high-tech lab of mysticalness underneath.
It felt like a pocket dimension.
Yes.
Because it's huge.
It's huge. It looked like it was never ending.
Right? Compared to
so he's got all these like different helmets and everything.
That they do different things.
Yeah.
Which is pretty wild. Like his dad's very reluctant to give him one because his dad's an asshole. He's
like the super hardcore racist and sexist and just terrible human being.
Right. So you can see that, you know, Peacemaker
because he's instantly mocking his son when he gets back, you know, and
belittling
all the horrible
him.
Things that he is, and he
how
calls
dare
him
you have been arrested, and how could you have gotten shot, and right. So it's like it's definitely that product of the upbringing,
very toxic masculinity, and
played by the T-1000 Robert Patrick.
Yes, he did a great job.
Right, he definitely. It was funny because he was also in the Protege, and he was like this biker that was just like so like caring and calm.
He was so nice, yeah.
So
I love John Cena. This character is so fascinating because he's like still a kid. He so wants to do good, and so you can tell that he wants to do the right thing, but he hasn't had the upbringing to teach him what the right thing really is.
Yeah.
You know, so it's definitely some understanding to see where that's coming from because he's not innately hateful towards anyone.
No, he's been super.
Everyone has, you know, he hasn't been.
He's misguided.
Yes. You know, he hasn't been terrible to anyone or reacted as if they weren't worth anything.
Yeah.
You know, so he's very childlike.
Oh, yeah. He's very broken in that idea where, like, you know, the happiest we've seen him is when he was out with Vigilante shooting up appliances. Right?
Yeah. Right.
And like all those things are like
or with Eagly.
Yeah, or with Eagly. Like, you know, you can tell he just wants to be loved.
He wants that connection.
He wants to be loved, right?
Yeah.
And
Valkyrie has joined us and decided to rub on everything.
Yeah, she's like in super.
So sorry if you hear all this like weird like
scratching
sounds.
But like when he ends up finally hooking up with someone randomly, you know, that scene was hilarious.
Oh, it was
right? Like he's in his underpants in this person's apartment listening to music.
He finds this like old 80s like terrible music, and he's just so happy.
Well, there's an interesting comment too, where the idea where he said, the 80s when men weren't afraid to be women, right?
Men were men because they weren't afraid to dress like women.
Yeah.
I was like, this is hilarious because they really were like that.
Yeah.
Like, and yet we associate that era of music
with masculinity
and rednecks almost, and yet they were so androgynous and so feminine and sometimes. So it is an interesting commentary on that.
Oh, there's a lot, like as much as this show is foul and filthy and all that, there is a lot going on in the subtext that is there.
Yeah.
And, especially for the fact that you're just, it's just unloading everything, right? And we're finding out little things that
the cat has attacked us.
That's one thing you can't rub on because you'll cause vibrations in the microphone.
It's just gonna rub on the microphone stand, that helps.
So, but like even the fact that Peacemaker in the 3rd episode is unable to shoot the kids, yet he's always been like, I don't care, man, when we're a child, I'll do anything for peace, right? And he freezes, right?
Yeah.
So, there's definitely more there to everything.
Yeah.
And
it shows though when you see his dad, you're like, his dad would have killed everyone in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But so he's been told that that's what he's supposed to do. You can tell, right?
Yeah. So that's why I'm really curious to see where this goes. Like, are we building? Are we going to end up having a showdown between Peacemaker versus Peacemaker? Peacemaker 1 versus Peacemaker 2?
Yeah.
Like, is that what it's building up to?
Yeah.
To sort of the old values and the new values?
Yeah.
Of acceptance and all that, right? Like,
yeah.
But like, he's so misguided though. Like, as much as he wants to be good, he says the stupidest things.
Yeah.
Like when he's with Leota there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that like, well, I'm an ally. I love all the girl on girl stuff. You should look at my porn history, right? Like,
yeah.
That's not the thing.
That's not an ally.
Like, but it's just that it's almost like, well, I need to say that because I'm a big strong man, right?
Yeah.
Like I need to be.
Yeah.
So. There's just so much.
But it shows then he doesn't innately feel like there's anything wrong with her.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know how to express that there's nothing wrong with her because that's the only concept that he has is porn.
Yeah. So like, it's just like, there's so much going on, and I'm curious to see how it all unfolds. Like, where is it going to go? Because it is funny too, to think that he is being like, okay, so I'm in this mission. It's called Mission, Project Butterfly. Well, the last mission you guys sent me on, it was a kaiju, right, of a starfish, and it was starfish. You're not the best at naming things. Like, am I fighting Mothra? Like,
They're like, no,
right. And then by episode 3, we find out that they are actually butterflies, right. So he does have something there. Like,
he's not completely stupid, right?
Yeah. He's misguided, and the scene where he goes out ends up hooking up with the chick that turns out to be the butterfly was just hilarious because as he's trying to escape and he's like trying to like,
well, he felt so real with it. He wasn't a superhuman.
He takes things. He ends up stealing her records.
Right. I love that he goes back and he's like, he's
not just his costume. He's like, no, I need these records.
Right.
And then
the couple that he finds is so, I love the real feeling for people. Like, so
that fight was probably the most real fight ever.
Right? Like, you see that and you're like, wow, this would be a disgruntled couple of what really would have happened.
Yeah.
And then some of their sex in it that felt real. Like, there was real women in this.
Yeah.
And a real situation. And it was just, it was refreshing to see something that didn't feel so fake and glossy.
Oh yeah. That was just a funny thing of like she's flirting with him because she's unhappy with their marriage, right?
Yeah.
And the husband's right there. He's like, are you seriously doing this right now? And she's like, what? No. Like, and then Peacemaker had his moments where he had that look of like, do I have time to bang her right now while the cops are looking for me?
I might need to do this.
Right? Like, that's how he looked, right?
Right, yeah.
So, I'm just...
So good. I'm so excited for next Thursday.
And like chimp arm, like that's gonna ever be like etched into my brain.
Yep. Because he sounded so upset about it.
Yeah, they used to call me chimp arm.
Chimp arm, like, yeah. Oh.
So I'm really enjoying it. I'm curious to see where everything goes. Sorry, I'm being attacked in the head by a cat at the moment on the other side of our fort. Yep. But no, like, and Cena's doing a good job with his acting in it too, because he's shown a lot of emotion in 3 episodes.
Yes.
Right.
Like, a very large range of feelings. And
Gunn he's written the whole series, and then he directed a few of the episodes. I can't remember how many he's directed.
Oh, okay.
But so he directed those first 3. So,
and I'm sure he would have had someone who would have.
I think he directed the first 3 and the last couple.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be the middle ones that he didn't direct, if I remember correctly. But I didn't think I'd be enjoying this as much as I was, as much as I loved the character in the movie. Like, the show has. It's what I felt the reboot of The Tick should have been.
Yeah, right? This would have been it, yeah.
Because it's that goofy.
Yeah. It's like, goofy, also adult and inappropriate all at the same time.
Right.
So it's perfect.
So then I look at this.
Because he's so sincere and serious in what he wants to do.
Yeah.
And it's so colorful. It is The Tick.
Right. I look at this and I still just wish that Gunn would be doing, and I know I've said it a million times, but the Toxic Crusaders, like, I think he could really do that series live action justice if a studio was willing to touch on that, because it's just, he has the ability to do an ensemble. Yeah. He just, even with like this, it's an ensemble cast. There's multiple characters.
The banter back and forth, he is just amazing. You got
Diebeard and Harcourt and Leota, and
you guys have such weird last names.
Right? And like Vigilante, like, he's able to mix the amount of characters, but also give characters equal growth in a relatively short time. Yeah.
I've already have a sense of who these people are in 3 episodes, really, right?
And it's just, and even like saying, like, having those moments, like, I think the show has really allowed him to expand on characters that and situations to show their personality, like the Bernstein Bears thing. Yeah. Right? Like,
that was like an actual serious thing that when I was an adult, I've had this exact conversation with myself. I'm like, no, it's Bernstein Bears. And then you look at it and you're like, oh my God, I've been saying this wrong my entire life. Right. And you can't fix it because it sounds wrong. Right. But you look at it and you're like, no, it's Bernstein Bears, but it doesn't feel right. Right. And then all of a sudden you're like, I'm not the only one.
Because it sounds creepy though.
Right?
Because it sounds like you're burning stained bears.
I don't know why, but Berenstain Bears just sounds the way that sounds right.
It flows.
It flows better.
But Bernstein.
Berenstain.
Yeah. Berenstain.
It doesn't.
No, I seem too Western.
Berenstain.
But like a conversation like that, like that banter, that because it's, and just that, like, when she ends up just emailing him,
she can't let go of it, right? And I'm like,
it's so real.
But because that's something I would do, right?
Yeah.
If I was in her situation, I'd be like, because I have done that.
We have listeners that yell at us when we say names wrong. I know that for a fact. Because it's all part of our history.
Yes. So then it's so funny to see that, right?
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I'm really excited for what comes. Like, I don't know. I didn't expect I needed this show, but I need it more than I expected I needed it.
Right.
And I look forward to each week now, because now we're on a weekly drop.
I do hope episode 4 has more Eagly in it.
Yeah, you were really disappointed that Eagly wasn't even in episode 3.
Failure.
Like,
it's a good thing that I like other parts of the show.
You almost stormed out of the room.
What the hell is this crap?
You threw a pillow at the TV and you stormed out. So, Mr. Gunn,
where's my Eagly as I shake my fist at you?
I really, it's the stupidest thing, but I really hope that like Funko or something brings out an Eagle.
If they have an Eagle Pop, I'm buying it.
Right.
Because I know that you guys would buy it for me in a heartbeat just because they, all the laughter on the Eagle aspect. But
they would be, right now, let's be honest.
It would be huge.
A marketing machine would be stupid not to bring out.
Right. Especially like the opening sequence of Eagle is right there in front of everything. Like it's part of it, man.
Like there should be multiple Eagles.
Yeah.
Like there should be the open arms.
There needs to be the hugging one.
Yes. There needs to be like just like the everything.
Just
like,
crinkle a bag. He'll think it's chips. What are you feeding him?
Like, yeah, as a marketing machine, it needs to happen. Like there needs to be like at least 5 Eagle Pops by now.
Bring on the Eagle.
Right. If not plushies and like t-shirts and where's my bedspread with Eagle?
Yes.
Like
who
come
thought
on.
I would never think I would have bought stuff with eagles on it because it's just way too America. But Peacemaker, bring on the Eagles.
Let's just hope he turns out to be a good guy at the end.
Right. No, I don't think it. I think it's just still funny.
The Eagle.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm in for this ride and I can't wait. So
last up, we got a new movie that came out on Disney Plus. New movie on Disney Plus. But we finally got to watch Marvel's Eternals.
That's right.
We weren't sure about watching this in theater, and it kind of came and went, and it was just not really going to be pushing, to try to have us go. Also because it was so long and it was something different, we weren't sure. But as it got closer on Disney Plus, I was really excited to watch it, just see what it would be like. See, because I know it didn't get the best reviews, so I was curious to form my own opinion on it. I'm very happy to say, though, that I did enjoy it more than I thought I would. So that was a really big bonus. I thought it would be a little too busy and a little too chaotic, but I really did enjoy it. It's much different than the other MCU movies, but still enjoyable nonetheless. So what about you?
That was like a cohesive thought.
I know, right? Aren't you proud of me?
I don't think I can follow up after that.
Oh,
I was just like, no.
Nailed it.
It was okay.
Okay.
Yeah, they said the reason why I wasn't super excited to see it when we saw it originally was none of the trailers really spoke to me. There was nothing that really like hooked me.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the 2.5 hour runtime, I was like, okay, well, definitely not going to be something kiddo is going to be as
for something about. New characters to have that long of a
especially
movie.
At the theater, right?
Yeah.
So when it came and went fast, like compared to some of the other movies. So I was eagerly waiting because I knew it would end up showing up on Disney Plus there. And when it came out, it was like, as soon as we could watch it, we watched it. I enjoyed it. It's a very dramatic film. Mm-hmm. It's interesting looking. It's very pretty. Mm-hmm. Like the long shots and the wide shots and all that. Like it's a very pretty film for sure. It does a pretty good job at, quickly giving you what's going on. There was a few time jumps back and forth that were a little disorientating, only because it was like all of a sudden it was the past and there was no real indication that it was the past.
It took it longer for it to say that it was the past. Mm-hmm. If it had just said it right away, it would have been fine. But it was like, wait, what? Oh, okay, yeah. This is probably the past.
So, but as a whole, I quite enjoyed it.
Well, because I was worried with so many characters that it would be too, like, not enough development for each of them to really care.
Yeah.
Because, if I imagine what the Avengers would have been like without any of the prep movies, I think I thought it was going to be something of that nature where it would be like...
It shows how small tier though those characters are. So they're not
really that much development because there's not that much story, right? Yeah. And because their story itself was told more in human history than anything else. And so because of that, it didn't feel bogged down by too many characters. Like I actually remember them enough and felt like they were unique enough that when things happened to them, I felt impacted by it.
Yeah.
So I did actually care, and I was pleasantly surprised by that because I was expecting to not really feel anything. But when there was positive negatives and changes, it was like, oh, that really sucks, or and so it was nice to see that they did a good job of providing some depth to those characters, right?
Yeah. It's still a section of the Marvel universe that I don't know much about. It's never been characters that I've read or cared about. So it's still not on, for me, it's still not on a must rewatch list.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind it only myself because now with such different names for them, it was a lot to take in. So as it got farther on into the movie, it was like, okay, these characters are this and they do this. So watching it again, then you have a little bit more right from the get-go of the characters. So, at some point, of course, I know we'll watch it again. Yeah. But that would be interesting to see how that goes. But overall, it's not going to be something that was, because there wasn't enough action in it. It was so much more dramatic. Yeah. There was no real feel good movements. And I think that's the difference. There's not the humor in it that a lot of the MCU has had. Yeah. Or the intense action or heroic. I think
the action is what was really kind of lacking, because it was very simplistic action when it was deviant fights, right? Yes. So it wasn't very super grandioso, awesome. There's not a lot of moments in it where I was like, damn, that was cool. Yeah. Right. Where it makes,
just in the very end for a little bit of that, right? Yeah. I think too, because there's such big grand ideals and ethical questions in it almost, rather than here is a villain and it's a bad guy because he's just trying to grab power and kill everyone. Yeah. Those are really simple villain and good guy things. This was a much grander, big story that was a gray area. Yeah. So I think, you didn't have that same action, because even the bad guy, you didn't really, he was a bad guy, but you also felt for him, because you understand the situation but it's because it made me sad that that there was a bad guy, right. So
he was created to be a bad guy more than anything.
Yeah. So you see, it's more of the manipulation of people and using people as tools than anything else. Yeah. And so there was a lot of big ideals and a big adult questions almost in it for the greater good of things, and the proper sacrifices and what is acceptable, and so there was a lot of big things in it. So it's good and bad about it, right? Yeah. So,
the thing that I found too was at the very end, it just kind of ends on this massive cliffhanger. Yes. Feel, and it's okay.
Is it actually happening? It says they'll be back, but when? Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how that'll play out. But.
Who did you have any favorite characters or anything like that? Ones that you liked more?
Not really.
I was talking to my sister about this, and she was like, we're not quite sure if Angelina Jolie should be in a MCU movie. She's like, it just feels weird. And I said, she feels like she plays good villains, good snarky, sneaky, duplicitous people. She's just who she is good at playing. And it was almost refreshing that she was not a bad guy at all. Yeah. That she actually really was a pure hero. I'm going to be biased, though, because I love the connection to some of the old mythology because they've been around. So she's essentially she is Athena from Greek mythology. So I loved that concept of it and her character design, but it was still caught me off guard almost every time. Oh, wait. Nope. Oh, she's still good. Okay. Yeah. She hasn't gone crazy.
But it's interesting because she wasn't super standoutish though as it. No. She didn't she was barely in the movie, right? Yeah. And so things like that, you assume then that there's a grander plan in play for her to play a larger role. Yeah. In the future. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
But maybe it really was that she just wanted to play something like this, and then she doesn't need to be some big starring thing, right? Too right.
So it was very subtle, right? Yes. But yeah, nobody really, that was a problem, is that nobody really kind of stood out because no one really had any big moments.
Yeah.
I think that's where I struggled, was no one like Faust. Is it Faust?
Faustus.
He had the best. I think he had the best moment at the end where he was able to cage Icarus.
Yeah.
Right. But then it dissipated so fast too. Right.
Yeah.
Like, and his was probably the most fleshed out character of
like most developed overall.
Yeah. Right. Because he had a family. He was wanting to give it all up, basically. Like,
was it Kilgar or I can't remember now, but I can't remember his name, but the Bollywood star. Like, it was interesting for him how, he was actually more enjoyable than I thought. I thought he would be a little bit more irritating almost, because the character, the actor that he is kind of tends to play that. But he was actually pretty enjoyable too. So.
But yeah, no, I was waiting for someone to really kind of like pop as like, but as I was waiting for that, like that big, like heroic moment feel.
Yeah.
And as much as it was like a huge moment with, what's her name?
Cersei?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, she was the one that deserved to have it a little, and it was still, it was huge.
Still a grand moment.
Still grand, but it didn't
cinematically, it didn't have
it wasn't that
weight.
Exactly.
Right? Because like it was, like Icarus is probably the best Superman we've seen on screen.
Totally. All that kiddo kept saying, he was like, he's totally like Superman. Yep.
Like that, just some of his like the smirks and the battles and all that. But it was like the typical Hollywood like Superman feel, whereas like, we still have to have him bad. Yeah. Kinda, right. Like, so yeah, I don't know. I like, it's not, I didn't dislike the movie.
Yeah.
I just don't.
You know what? It's. I wasn't expecting it to blow me away, but I at least enjoyed it more than I was expecting.
Yeah.
So it's definitely probably my least favorite of the MCU movies, but it was interesting because I got a makeup palette from Eternals for Christmas. And like it in itself, of course, regardless of the movie, it was still just gorgeous makeup. But I remember you commenting like, it'll be interesting to see if you're okay with this after you actually watch the movie, or is it going to be like, what the hell is this crap?
Yeah.
And it was kind of fun because I was able to look at the names of things and put things together more. And I'm happy to say that I'm even more happy that I have it. So there's a little bit of like, I have product from it, right? Would I want to buy any more product from it? No, I could care less.
I don't feel like I want to go run out and buy any pops or any action figures. Like,
because I didn't really feel a connection to any of them really. So
that's the biggest thing.
I'm more concerned about wanting to see more of like the sequel idea.
Right? I feel like a sequel might be better.
Yes, because now you have a basis of them, and now those characters are really actually developed to move forward rather than just living the standard stamp of what they were supposed to be doing.
Yeah, right. Like I feel like if and when they do whatever sequel they have planned, I feel like that could actually be a more engaging film because there was, I think it's because there was so much going on. Like this feels like it almost could have been 2 movies.
Yeah.
Just with like the build up into the finale. Like, so that's my biggest thing is like, I wonder where it's going and what ramifications is it going to have? Like, that'll be the big question.
Yeah.
So, the end credit scene with Star Fox. What do you think of having Harry Styles join the?
It was funny because I kept looking at it and I'm like, it looks like Harry Styles. Is it Harry Styles? Could it be? And I didn't want to say anything. I'm like, something in the back of my head isn't saying like, I remember hearing the news that Harry Styles shows up in the MCU, and I just like. It was funny because I was trying to tell myself like, yeah, it really does look like him, but it was quite funny with that. Like, I don't know anything about the character or anything like that, but
he definitely has swagger in his acting.
But yeah, he did a great job of it. So, I mean,
that was probably the most I enjoyed a character.
Right.
He just had that charisma.
The concept of being named Eros, I would assume he should have charisma.
Yeah.
And so without knowing anything about the character, it seemed like he fit it quite well. He was just like, look at me, I'm awesome. So, so that was definitely interesting. And Yeah, it definitely left me wanting more of it, which is a good thing rather than like, oh, thank God it's over.
Yeah.
Make it stop.
There is that. Like I never had that like make it stop.
But it's definitely okay, now we've introduced to these characters. Now we know what's going on. Now what's next?
We need something else to flesh out to make this movie have weight.
Yes, exactly. Because otherwise this seemed like a really big situation that had very little consequences.
Yeah. So fingers crossed they continue.
Let's hope
with that, and it goes somewhere within the MCU. Mm-hmm. So
I think that's it.
We
actually finally covered everything. We caught up.
We fleshed it all out. We figured it out. We got there. We did it. We
mission accomplished.
Poured it into your ears, and hopefully you've been pop culture caffeinated. Right. Nice. So thanks for sticking with us as always. It's the first major episode of 2022.
See what exciting things this year brings us.
There's bound to be magic and mystery. So
because it's all part of our history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So So
with that, thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
And remember, stay rad, dudes.